YouTube channel, TrendingNewsWithSegun. Today we bring you exciting news from around the world. So, from the recent updates, Trump is a plot that Iran won't buy Trump. Trump said it. He said he's number one on their key list. You know why? Because if you know what's happening, Iran and US and Israel, they have several airstrike on Iran, so that Iran could not develop atomic weapon, nuclear weapon. See, and that have been going for like more than 2 months, 2 months now. I think 2 months, 3 months. That will cause the closure of Strait of Hormuz. See, and so there's a rumor that Iran is trying to kill Trump, but now US has one of the top intelligence, So Trump has to swap the Air Force One that was given to him by Qatar and swap it with the old Air Force. Swap it. So I think he landed in Turkey. I think it was Turkey. He landed. So so he didn't fly with it. So he had a meeting. So so now he was attending the press. We asked him what happened. So the leader convened in Ankara for ISTIC summit hosted by Turkey. So he didn't really go back from Turkey. So he has to take the other old Air Force One. For security reasons. So let's watch this.
Fire is over. What happens next, sir? Are we on the cusp of a full-scale return to full conflict?
Well, I'll tell you what happens next. We're never going to see Iran have a nuclear weapon, because that's much more important than the numbers you're talking about. The prices of oil are dropping like a rock. Now they'll be up a little bit, and this will end very quickly. We have an oil glut right now because we got all those boats out of the strait. And it's going to drop, and I've predicted everything. I've been right about everything, and I have been for a long time. It's how I got to be president 3 times. It's how I won 3 elections. I did very well in the second one, won it. It was a rigged election. But I've been right, and oil's coming down. Now, I have to make sure of one thing, that we don't have lunatics having control over nuclear weapons. So we have that now. There's no way they have a nuclear weapon. We have cameras, as an example, on the site that those beautiful B-2s at 1 o'clock in the morning 10 months ago blew up. They blew it up. We have cameras, that's called Space Force, if they're in space. But we have cameras that can read the badge of the person going over to a site. Mohammed something. We say it's Mohammed something is there with shovels. Well, shovels won't get you there. The biggest machinery in the world probably won't get you there, if you want to know the truth. It's way, way below. But we're watching that, and if anybody goes there, they get blown up. So nobody's going to touch that. Eventually, we'll take it. But what we do have is we have that. That's gone. If we wouldn't have had that, they would have had a nuclear weapon, and they would have wiped out Israel. If I weren't president, Israel wouldn't exist. And we did it 2 times. When the JCPOA, the Obama deal, when that was originally conceived, everything went to Iran. 1.7 billion in cash, hundreds of billions of dollars. They thought they could buy peace with these people. You can't do that. So the big thing we have is more important than anything we can talk about is you can't let lunatics have nuclear weapons, and we've stopped that. And that should have been stopped on a couple of other occasions too with different countries, but they didn't do that. Yeah, please.
Stephen Nelson from the New York Post. I'd like you to address speculation that you're leaving Ankara not in the new Air Force One because of security concerns involving Iran. You've spoken today twice about them possibly assassinating you and possibly being successful. Did that concern have something to do with you?
Well, I speak about it a lot because, the life of a president is very dangerous. It's 5.2%. You know what a race car driver is? 1/10 of 1%. A bull rider, that looks pretty dangerous to me. It's 1/10 of 1%. No, it's 5.2% is you don't make it. You should have told me, you're an excellent reporter. You should have told me that years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have run. It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it because we have a country that's hot and really, really successful. But I mention it only because it's on the list. I mean, it came out. There was another list came out yesterday, and I'm number one on. I like being number one on TikTok better, but I'm number one on the list for killing. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Hey, Sean McCreesh, New York Times. But why aren't you flying the new plane home?
Say what?
Why aren't you flying on the new Air Force One home?
It's flying to Europe to one of the big bases, 2 or 3 of the big bases, where we can show it to the people, and we'll be going home by normal methods. But we have it going to Europe to a couple of bases, actually one in particular, but it's going to go to a couple of bases, stop, so the soldiers can see it because it's truly magnificent. Yeah, please? Go ahead. You want to go? Okay, go ahead.
Mr. President, harici media Tunç Akkoç, Türkiye. Mr. President, it seems that the war with Iran may start again. What do you expect from your European allies?
I don't think it's going to start again. I think it's going to go very quickly. They hit a couple of ships, and so we hit them much harder. When they hit, we hit 10 times harder. You know, we hit much harder.
President Trump has made no secret of how much he loves his new jumbo jet that was gifted to him by the Qatari government. So why is he now taking the old version of Air Force One again? That's the question that a lot of reporters are asking today, especially after the president flew on the new plane to the NATO summit in Turkey, but flew back from Turkey on the NATO summit on the old version of Air Force One. The president said that the new Qatari jet was being sent ahead of time to a military base in the United Kingdom so members of the United States military could tour it and see just exactly what it looks like on the inside. We saw President Trump landing at that same military base where he walked from the old Air Force One to the new Air Force One. You can tell a difference in the old color scheme on that plane versus the new red, white, and blue one that he put on the new Qatari plane. Now, the White House said that this was because the president wanted members of the military to be able to see it for themselves, but the president himself was also asked whether or not it had to do with any security issues or concerns about his own personal safety. This is what he told reporters.
I'd like you to address speculation that you're leaving Ankara not in the new Air Force One because of security concerns involving Iran. You've spoken today twice about them possibly assassinating you and possibly being successful. Did that concern have something to do with it?
Well, I speak about it a lot because, you know, the life of a president is very dangerous. What, you should have told me that years ago. Maybe I wouldn't have run. It's a very dangerous profession. No, I'm number one on the kill list for Iran.
Tonight, the New York Times is reporting that a security precaution is what led to the resumption of hostility, that related to the resumption of hostilities, I should say, with Iran, is what led to the president's plane change that happened today. Sources are telling the Times in this new report that the new plane does not have all the features of the old Air Force One. My source tonight is Mark Cancian, a retired Marine Corps colonel who oversaw the Air Force One replacement program under the Bush and Obama administrations. And thank you, sir, for being here, because there are questions that were raised when this new plane was being brought about retrofitting it, getting it up to speed for the president's use. When you read this report in the New York Times tonight that says that there were security concerns, what do you make of that?
I think that's been long expected, frankly. The new plane, or this what they're calling the bridge plane, cannot have all of the features of the regular Air Force One. It was converted in a very short period of time at a much lower cost, and that meant that you couldn't put all of the things onto it that you would on a full-up Air Force One. So it could handle some level of threat, but not as much as the other aircraft.
I think some people might hear that and say, but how could they put the president on a plane that is not as fully equipped as the plane he's just been flying on that other U.S. presidents have flown on for 3 decades? I mean, how is that possible?
Well, the Secret Service makes a determination about the level of threat in the destination the president's going to, and uh, going to Turkey when there was still a ceasefire. They must have made a determination that the level of threat was not so great that it would uh, could overwhelm the systems on this bridge aircraft. But then when the war broke out, or when the fighting broke out again, or maybe they got some information about what the Iranians were up to, they decided that the threat was higher, and now they had to put the president on an aircraft that had more protective systems.
What kind of systems would it be that are the most important for the new Air Force One to have, in your view, these security capabilities?
Unlock high performance and complete control with VPS hosting from Hostinger. AMD EPYC processors and NVMe storage guarantee you speed and stability, while a 1 gigabit per second
One to have, in your view, these security capabilities?
It has a wide variety of defensive systems to protect it from attack by missiles or even other aircraft. Some of those protect against infrared missiles, like a Stinger in the U.S. inventory, launched from the ground or from the air. Has other systems, electronic warfare systems, to spoof missiles that are guided by radar. It has chaff. It has flares, and in addition has a wide variety of other capabilities, secure communications, for example. And it's also hardened against what's called electromagnetic pulse, which is a disruption, electronic disruption in nuclear warfare. Very unlikely the Qatari aircraft has that, because you have to rip out all of the electronics to put that in. And there's also refueling. I doubt the Qataris have that.
Well, late tonight, the president posted this photo to social media saying, quote, "We just landed and met up with our new Air Force One, which was sent earlier to RAF Mildenhall so we could show the wonderful service members as per the entire base's request." Joining me for more on this is former Secret Service agent and senior law enforcement analyst Jonathan Wackrow. Does this make any sense to you at all that the president would not fly on the brand new plane, which he is very pleased with and has been hotly anticipating, because he wanted to send it to an Air Force base in the UK because the entire base really wanted to see it and tour it?
Well, Anderson, good night, good evening. And my read on this is that the switch was likely driven by an operational confidence in the new aircraft against the backdrop of these increased hostilities between the U.S. and Iran. So for decision makers, the question became, which aircraft gives the president the most secure, the most reliable, and resilient platform while they're overseas? And there is a significant distinction between these two Air Force One aircraft. The legacy aircraft, which is the traditional baby blue color, that was purpose-built from the ground up as a presidential mission aircraft. It has advanced capabilities. It was built from the ground up, having the secure communications. You referenced the in-flight refueling capability, but it also has advanced medical suite, basically an operating room. It has hardened electronics and really the ability to support the president during any type of crisis, especially overseas. So when you talk about where he is right now in the world, this aircraft becomes part of the national security infrastructure. So the decision to switch back to the original VC-25A aircraft with all of these capabilities was really out of operational necessity based upon this threat environment, not because of any other optic.
Which makes absolute sense. The president, however, denied that security concerns were to blame for the switch. He also says that he didn't know that reporters were told to pull down their window shades on the flight out of Turkey. Is this something that, do you think this will mean that the plane will not be used internationally again, or is it specifically Turkey and specifically during this conflict with Iran?
I think that mission planners from the White House military office will take a closer look at the threat environment that these aircraft are going into and really making a protective decision. And when you think about that from a protective standpoint, the safest aircraft isn't necessarily the newest one or the most luxurious. It's the one that best fits the mission at hand based upon the threat environment and has the capabilities to address any type of incident. Now, we don't know exactly what happened here, but to make such a significant shift in aircraft and platform, seemingly last minute, meant that there was some sort of intelligence that was feeding into this decision that necessitated bringing the utilizing the previous aircraft as now the primary just for this movement from Turkey to the United Kingdom.
The president claims that he sent the Qatari gifted jet to Mildenhall Air Force Base in the UK to give our soldiers, quote, a chance to see it. But that's left reporters with a lot of questions.
So you're saying there wasn't a security concern?
No. Why would
Do you know why they had us close our window blinds? That was not usual.
Well, yeah, because you're probably on a dangerous way because of the sleaze bags that we have to deal with.
So you think that Iran was possibly thinking, trying
Well, I mean, if they asked you to close your windows, probably they feel that way. They didn't ask me to close mine, but if they did, I would have done it.
So we're bringing in Becca Wasser, defense lead at Bloomberg Economics. Becca, we've talked about this plane in the past, what it would cost to retrofit it, and now we are here, right, in the moment when it has to travel internationally. And I want you to help clarify a thing. I mean, sometimes the flight attendant tells you to put the shades down because of the sun. So what do you hear between this conversation of, is it a security concern or something else?
Listen, I think what's happening here is the efforts to try and retrofit this aircraft so quickly means that there are some gaps in what it needs to be a secure Air Force One for an international visit. And what I'm hearing between all of this is really the lack of three things that caused him to fly home on the older Air Force One. And it's about security, it's about communications, and it's about survivability. So if, there was this rush to try and get the Qatari aircraft to be his Air Force One, that means that it's probably lacking some of its missile detection and countermeasures that it likely needs. Additionally, it probably doesn't have the full secure communications network that President Trump would also need to essentially prosecute a war from afar with some of the strikes on Iran that we've seen in the past 2 days. And then lastly, it probably lacks some of the basic survivability that it would need. Some of those older Air Force One airplanes really were built to be survivable under even the worst things like being able to survive a potential nuclear blast. And it is very clear that the Qatari jet definitely lacks that capability.
Wow, it's crazy. It's crazy. So Iran, so Trump is number one on the key list for Iran. So it's crazy. It shows how this war is escalated. So, but you show that U.S. intelligence is on very top intelligence, and show that U.S. always wanted to carry out this, but this is not just anyhow news. It's a top level intelligence. All right, guys. So just that the war escalates. There's no winner in war. There's no winner. These are on both sides. See. So, but guys, to my channel, subscribe. So I can bring you more updates, and